The movie reminds us that Plato made up one tiny story about Atlantis as an allegory to crying hubris in his writings, and a couple millennia later, some people actually believe it existed. Inventing an army of flying fish planes, but still going with a human-produced gong as your warning system. Lady, if you have time to stop to have a face-to-face with your kid about time, you have time. Stealing your kid's jewelry. Let the kid look. It's not every day a mom becomes a glow god emotion ball, but also maybe yell at your wife to remind her that she needs to come back out of the god orb so she doesn't get absorbed fully. You know, since that is an option later when Kita gets sucked up there and is able to survive.
10,000 years before the Egyptians built the pyramids, Atlantis had electricity, advanced medicine, even the power of flight.
Movie only takes about 3 minutes to barrage us with some hardcore flashcards position. Also, it's total bullshit that this card means an ancient civilization had flight. That dude is just sitting cross-legged playing maracas in a weirdly shaped kiddie pool, and you know it.
So, by changing this letter and inserting the correct one, we find that the Shepherd's Journal, the key to Atlantis, lies not in Ireland, gentlemen, but in Iceland.
Okay, setting aside that this ancient written language is somehow a direct cryptographic letter substitution for modern English, how stupid do you have to have the word coast figured out, thereby knowing the exact character for C and still decide to put an R there? And bespectacled Marty McFly is the only one in history to figure this shit out. Who let Milo have a mummy in his office? Of all the things to do in a museum, f***ing with a mummy has to be the worst.
I plotted the route that will take myself and a crew.
Considering Milo was facing the board when this imprint happened, the dotted line on his vest should be coming from his right side towards his middle, just as Congress established in the silly putty reverse transitive law of 1881. Leaving this many candles burning in this small of a space, I don't care if this helmet invented the Darth Vader look a century before Disney had the legal rights to it, that's a fire hazard.
This museum funds scientific expeditions based on facts.
Somehow making this a villainous stance to take.
Here, take a trolley to the Potomac and jump in. Maybe the cold water will clear your head. Fine?
Movie wanted this person gets sprayed by water from the road at their lowest point cliche so badly it invented what appears to be a gallon of water where there was none when the vehicle backed up to this spot. And even if there was some water that we didn't see, it would have been much more likely to spray backwards than sideways. Also, in under 10 minutes, the adults have said they want to step in front of a trolley, push someone in front of a trolley, and now pay for their annoying coworker's passage to jump off a cliff, so to speak. I knew I wasn't going to like this movie much, but I didn't know I'd hate so deeply.
Ho, ho, ho.
I'm beginning to wonder if this movie thinks it takes place in Cool World. This movie does not contain a trigger warning for all the body adjustment noises. Holy shit.
You know how much I like my privacy.
Having an older male character show off their junk to a younger, new protege for the lulz.
It's the Shepherd's Journal.
This book is the equivalent of typing Washington, D.C. to legendary Atlantis into MapQuest and printing out the instructions on your grandparents' old computer with just enough ink to spit out a semi-coherent string of steps to get you where you need to go.
I will stake everything I own, everything that I believe in, that this is the genuine Shepherd's Journal.
It's scary how quickly people can convince themselves that something they just discovered is absolutely the best version they could possibly imagine. Sure, get excited that you finally found something you've been searching for, but read it first. Vet that shit. Ask questions. Force yourself out of the bliss of blind acceptance and ask, what if, a few times before you drink the goddamn Kool-Aid. Sure, he eventually winds up banging a hot goddess in Atlantis, but this idiot stumbles to that eventuality rather than critically thinking about who he aligns with to get to his goals.
I will find Atlantis on my own. I mean, if I have to rent a rowboat.
Congratulations, Milo. This is exactly what I wanted to hear.
And instead of just telling you, well, I acted like a crazy old man who didn't care about it at all to test your commitment, because I've seen how cool that reveal is in so many other movies. It's like when Colonel Phillips tosses that grenade in Captain America, or like Wesley pretended to be the dread Pirate Roberts, or like how Willy Wonka is addicted to those kids. Do you like movies, Milo?
If you ever actually find that so-called journal,
I'll kiss you full on the mouth. Imagine my embarrassment when he found the darn thing.
Right, but you would have had to decide to kiss him while a picture was being taken in order to capture this embarrassing moment. So if you don't want to be forever embarrassed by a kiss bet, don't document it.
Audrey Ramirez, don't let her age fool you. She's forgotten more about engines than you and I'll ever know.
Hiring a mechanic with a terrible memory. I wasted a lot of time comparing this image to the ones we were just shown, and the only difference I could see is the background. I really wanted this to be like one of those can you spot the differences games on the back of the kids menu.
My cat. Gosh.
This asshole stole his cat. He just puked so hard his glasses fell overboard, and I will assume those glasses continue to appear throughout the rest of the movie. So here's a sin for every scene to follow.
Carrots. Why is there always carrots? I didn't even eat carrots.
Milo would be excellent at vomit sins. And of all the fake sin channels we've ever mentioned, I'm begging all deities, real or imagined, please do not let this one be the one that becomes a real thing.
It's a vegetable cookie. The men need the 4 basic food groups.
I got you 4 basic food groups.
Considering the idea of the 4 food groups wasn't around until 1956, I'm gonna have to side with Cookie on this one. I don't see anyone up here with machinery making these sparks fly, so I assume they are for dangerous dramatic effect. And given they are already on a dangerous mission, that is entirely unnecessary.
You dropped your dynamite.
The continued portrayal of munitions experts in pop culture as careless pyromaniacs who are unconcerned with safety.
Fuses, wicks, glue, and paper clips, big ones.
Is the thing we have time to listen to in this movie. 40 seconds of boring animation centered on a big dark object with an orange thingy descending into darker water.
Tonight's supper will be baked beans, musical program to follow.
We got fart jokes, y'all.
You're disgusted, Dirt from around the globe, spanning the centuries.
What's it doing in my bed?
You ask too many questions.
Listen, Discount Hans Mole Man, it's not just that you decided to use his bed as your geographical dirt pile location. It's that you then decided to make the bed after. You're the one who disturbed the dirt first, buddy, so get over it.
You do any fishing?
Thinking a medical professional would ask a question when trying to take your accurate temperature with a mouth thermometer. They have other holes they can use if they want to continue the played out, over-talkative doctor shtick. This bubblegum pops and sends tiny separate pieces of gum shrapnel in all directions, and unless you're chewing liquid nitrogen gum, that is not how blowing bubbles works.
Captain, you better come look at this.
Cliche.
Okay, class dismissed.
Dismissed? Milo shows a figure of an ancient creature that no one believes exists, then a drawing of a tunnel with an air pocket, and that's the entire debrief? Well then, good thing we got everyone together for this incredibly helpful meeting about basically nothing. This could have been a telegram.
Commander, I think you should hear this.
Cliche. Thinking we wouldn't notice you stealing the rotating hallway shot from Inception.
Tell Cookie to melt the butter and bring out the bibs. I want this lobster served up on a silver platter.
Because this is a much more efficient way of saying attack.
Load the torpedo bays, subpod crews, battle stations.
Defying orders and not immediately telling Cookie to melt the butter and break out the bibs.
Sir, it's engineering on 4.
He then moves this tiny lever, which after careful study of the rest of the scene is just a lever that changes from listening to speaking. So I'm still trying to figure out where he selected line 4 and why it needed to be specified.
How much time do we have?
20 minutes if the bulkhead holds. You better make that 5.
Apparently, this movie went to the Starfleet Academy School of Engineering things.
We're looking for a big crevice of some kind.
And wouldn't you know it, there happens to be a crevice right there just out the window. Boy, howdy, these adventures sure are lucky.
We're getting killed out here!
No kidding. The amount of people that just perished in that sub confirms this movie double majored at the Star Trek Academy of redshirting things.
We're all gonna die.
No, not all of you. There's plenty of plot armor to go around for the quirky side characters. Hell, Cookie and his entire cart of groceries somehow made it onto that escape sub on time, so you know someone's looking out. Also, it sure was nice of the ancient Atlantean people to create a load-bearing roadway that could last for thousands of years. Someone thought ahead and packed Milo's research gear in the escape subs. The people involved in the execution of this adventure are really impressive. Or the movie is lazy. I can't decide. Now is as good a time as any to pay respect to Mark Ocran for actually creating an entire Atlantean alphabet and language for this movie. The thought that went into it and the detail of it is astonishing. And of course, by pay respect to him, I mean sin him for the hardest anyone has ever worked to earn a reading sin. These fools have traveled underground long enough to enter the tundra and back out again. And how much gas to power the vehicles did they manage to bring along for this? How much food? How much bullshit is funding this excavation? Also, where the hell did this underground snow fall from? And to any geologists in the comments, if you explain how it's possible for snow to fall underground, I'll need you to make sure you include an explanation for how snow would fall in a cave, under the ocean, in a room next to other rooms that weren't frozen as well. And at that point, why are you spending so much time disproving me? It's just a movie, dude. Jeez. Go geologize something.
She lives!
Hey, what'd you do?
Sorry, that was one of the mechanic things you forgot. This movie sets up a female character to be an expert, only to have the male character show her up and mansplain how he did it.
Tooth for flinching.
Doing 2 for flinching in 1914, or really any time in the history of thinking it's abnormal to react a bit when you think someone might punch you.
You like it? We'll have some more.
Way to be wasteful, Cookie. Not like you're trapped underground with no idea when you'll return to the surface for supplies. Just dump that slop everywhere for dramatic effect.
I mean, you know, it's an honor to be included in your...
Mole!
Forgive me.
I will not.
Hey, Milo, don't you ever close that book.
The very book that will save you from dying and decomposing alone in an underground sea cave? Are we really mocking the bookworm in this scenario when the contents of the book will save their lives?
It's almost like there's a missing page.
It's almost like if there is a missing page, there would be evidence of it being removed that you could investigate. Coordinated contribution to the food waste epidemic.
I never got to meet your grandfather. What was he like?
Where do you start? He was like a father.
Skip!
Forget your jammies, Mrs. Packard?
I sleep in the nude.
You're gonna want a pair of these. She sleepwalks.
Movie once its aren't naked old people gross joke so bad it has Milo ask a woman walking by about not being in her pajamas yet, as normal men are prone to do.
Tell the kid the truth. My family owned the flower shop.
Why is everyone suddenly giving Milo backstories to their life and personal details? It's because they're gonna make a heartwarming switch from asshole to lesser asshole, isn't it?
What's Mole's story?
Trust me on this one. You don't want to know.
You're correct, I don't. But it can't be any worse than Vinny's I was a florist and then something blew up, so I knew I wanted to blow stuff up, snooze fest. Ah! Preparing to wipe your ass with gasoline-soaked flash paper. All of our main characters survived this, including the naked old woman who somehow had time to find some clothing for the rest of the movie.
If we could blow the top off of that thing, we'd have a straight shot to the surface.
Assuming the top of a volcano has to be above water. A mysterious blue glowy people help heal a protagonist invader with nature and Looks like Avatar is getting copied by another movie again, which is what Avatar is known for, being copied, and a totally original story itself that other movies copied. Deciding to live in a 360-degree infinity pool waterfall death trap situation.
They speak my language. Pardon, mademoiselle. Voulez-vous...
Punching someone simply for quoting Patti LaBelle lyrics. That's right, I said Patti LaBelle.
Welcome to the city of Atlantis.
These Atlanteans have been watching the progression of Milo's party for some time. They've seen them exploding pillars and desecrating their sacred Why welcome them? Throw them into the lava. Only using one tiny bridge with no guardrails to connect your 360-degree infinity pool waterfall death trap situation to the outside world.
You presume much to think you are welcome here.
Apparently in the movie Triple Majored at the Starfleet Academy of Leonard Nimoy outclassing the material of things as well.
But we are peaceful explorers, men of science.
And yet you bring weapons.
A military-industrial complex.
Return to your people. You must leave Atlantis. At once.
But 60 seconds ago he said, so why let them go now? Throw them into the lava and end this stupid movie already.
Kida, when you take the throne, you will understand.
The condescension involved and the someday when you're wiser you'll agree with me defense.
Okay, Milo, don't take no for an answer.
Peeping on someone and then saying that sentence out loud.
I mean, how did all of this end up down here?
There was a whole scene at the beginning of the movie, Milo. Pay attention and quit trying to exposition me with something I already saw.
Okay, second question.
This will be your 6th question, you question game cheater.
Place crystal into slot.
How convenient that the Atlanteans wrote out the instructions on every vehicle. Kind of like how the instructions for starting a car are written on every steering wheel, because you never know, and a future archaeologist will wonder how these things work.
I wonder how fast it goes.
Designing your super speed fish plane to take off with a single touch to the giant glowing blue screen. You couldn't have even installed a seat sensor.
Tell me more about your companions.
Did Evolution stick that purple crab thing with a biteable off button? What the hell, Evolution?
Watch me make Rhode Island dance. Go on, baby, dance.
Inking Rhode Island is a city in Texas. Having watched half a season of Ink Master, I feel qualified to point out that pastel ink in this era would have been really difficult to find, and the saturation on his tattoo would be nearly impossible. Whew, he sure is lucky that at least a few masked goons survived until now to provide some easy conflict and faithless fodder for those on the side of righteousness.
You do swim, do you not?
Remember, Kida is just a cartoon. Remember, Kida is just a cartoon. Remember.
Don't you get it? The power source I've been looking for, the bright light you remember, they're the same thing.
That cannot be.
You'd think so, Kida, but it's amazing how many times those kind of coincidences happen in movies like this. Makes you wonder if you're in a simulation, huh? Plot twist for the kids! The adults you once trusted, laughed at for their silly shenanigans, and even came to love with their stories were assholed the whole time! F you kids. Now you know what real life is like. Just when you think you know someone, you pop out of a swim in the ocean of life only to meet the real people holding a gun to your face while they remove their fake masks of civility.
Mercenary. I prefer the term adventure capitalist.
Casually mentioning a mobile game that stole years of my life. I just wanted to make more lemons, damn you! Rourke manages to figure out where the power is hidden by standing in a shallow bit of water for a split second. It's not even a puzzle to figure out or a code or anything. Atlantean technology is really dumb when you think about it. Let it be known that Atlantis' security system hates pebbles in water. No one has seen the devastation brought to all rocks that have accidentally fallen into this very pond, but today we saw it with our own eyes.
I don't know how to explain it. It's their deity. It's their power source.
Well, those are two different things, and a scientist should at least be able to make some guesses. But if the movie wants to go with mystical masquerading as science, I guess we'll just send the mystical masquerading as science. Yeah, Kita, f him up! Oh, this is going to be the best part of the film, when the deity unleashes a mystical level of whoop-ass on her oppressors to defend her people. Oh, not now? Okay, probably not yet. But absolutely she will after she gets this godly upgrade to her armor. Also, animated character gets levitated into a ball of light to transform cliché. I think this moment is meant to represent that the entity has now embodied Kita herself, and therefore no longer needs to hide behind the masks of her ancestors. But the movie will never reveal what is actually happening here.
No, don't touch her.
Yeah, don't touch her. She's made of pure energy and will f you up. Or she'll walk into her own prison and resign herself to captivity. Why is this movie so stupid? Happening to have or be able to quickly build a cryogenic transportation chamber for the mystical glowy person you didn't know would exist when you came. One by one, these assholes will now walk over to support Milo as the music swells. It's like Rudy, except less earned and with one fewer future hobbit. All of the Atlantean people are watching their god be hauled off in a box, and not one of them attempts to help. They stand around like they're watching a street performance.
We're all gonna die.
And yet they do not. Oh no, not the crystals for the babies!
In times of danger, the crystal will choose a host.
Now there is a movie. The crystal god sucks up hosts when it thinks there is danger, absorbs their energy to sustain itself, and the people continue to worship it, not realizing they're totally oppressed. Shh, now we're stealing from Avatar again.
One of royal blood.
Do I have good news for this stupid story? Milo has come along at just the right time for Kita's ovulation cycle. The future of Atlantis is saved.
The crystal thrives on the collective emotions of all who came before us.
Gobbledygook. Kid Kita's head is as big as her dad's, and now I feel really bad for her mom's down the stairs there parts.
That's why you hid it beneath the city, to keep history from repeating itself.
He didn't do anything. Kita's mom did, apparently. But, you know, way to give credit to the man that f***ed everything up for everyone.
Let's recap. I lead a band of plundering vandals to the greatest archaeological find in recorded history, thus enabling the kidnap and/or murder of the royal family. Not to mention personally delivering the most powerful force known to man into the hands of a mercenary nutcase who's probably gonna sell it to the Kaiser.
Negative self-talk.
Half turn right, quarter turn back. Keep your hand on the pad.
Stealing the instructions my college girlfriend gave me for your fish plane controls. Also, any instructions for things like acceleration, roll, pitch. And I think there's also something called yaw. Any advice on those, or is everyone just an automatic expert once they start it up? Milo's flying thing doesn't appear to have a crystal, and his hand isn't on the glowy pad. I guess that is no longer important because it's time to go to battle and wrap this story up. It seemed like the movie was telling us that these old vehicles were now something to keep secret. Kita had hers hidden under a blanket and was all hush-hush when she showed it to Milo. But now everyone runs to the shore and the fishmobiles are all out in the open. You're telling me that over hundreds and hundreds of years, not one bored Atlantean figured out how to put their crystal in the hole and swat their hand on it a few times to start it up? I've watched 2-year-olds navigate smartphones. Don't tell me these people just forgot. The amount of things that survived that explosive plummet to the bottom of the gorge earlier completely intact is starting to make my skin itch.
We can't let her reach the top of that shaft!
Why not? Are there machines not allowed above the surface for some reason? Will everything disintegrate when the sun hits it? Okay, so they don't want to be seen by anyone, but they're in a remote place, and any witnesses can just be murdered and buried. I'm saying there are options. And how many planes did they bring on this journey into the ocean, and why?
But congratulations, you just won the solid gold Cupid doll.
All those preteen Rose O'Neal fans in 2001 nodding in agreement at how cool it would be to win a Cupid doll made of solid gold and yelling at the screen, "Great reference, Disney, nailed it!" Helga survived this. Rourke has been stabbed with glass that touched the god crystal entity Kita and will now turn into a monster of some kind, further proving there is a better movie about an evil god crystal than whatever we're watching here.
Thank heaven.
Seeing this and saying thank heaven instead of what the hell? This metal chain not being strong enough to hold the thing that tiny Milo just easily pushed out of the way a few seconds ago. This magical force with the ability to resurrect an army of iron giant force field generators decided the first option was to be captured and carted away so a scrawny boiler mechanic could have some fun almost dying while saving the day first. Where the f was she storing this camera? So let me get this straight. The crystal emotional essence ball held onto your mom's bracelet for you so that you could have it as a token in case one day you too needed to be the crystal's battery source for a bit. Hey kid, sorry I had to take your mom and absorb her into me for reasons, but here's a ring of metal we found on her. We good now?
I think we're good.
Because plundering an ancient civilization of their wealth is funny.
Can we go home now?
The thoughts of every parent who took their kids to see this in the theater in 2001 somehow make it into the script.
Dear Mr. Whitmore, I hope this piece of proof is enough for you.
At least I hope this crystal proves Atlantis is real somehow. I'd invite you down so you could live eternally and be healed of all your wounds, but instead this rock will probably help. Shove it in your ass, do your kegels, and have a great life, strange old man I only just met a few days ago. Also, for what it's worth, I'm not letting Whitmore off the hook for any of this. It happened on your watch, buddy. The congressional hearings shall begin in a fortnight, good sir. Also, standing this close to the blazing of a fire and being able to be sentimental instead of shouting, "Dear God, is that the smell of my skin melting? Whee! Yay!" Now instead of walking around in circles trapped forever in a volcano, they can fly.
Water sucks. Gatorade is better.
I should give it to you when you were ready, whatever that means.
This is the manuscript in which the friar chronicled the knight's story.
Put it on speakers.
There's always a bigger fish.
Horrible nightmare. Dreamed I went back in time.
I have some questions for you, and you are not leaving this city until they are answered.
Okay.
Shh.
Come with me if you want to live.
Your physician, he is called Cookie?
No, that's Sweet.
What is?
The doctor. He's sweet.
Oh, he's kindly.
No, that's his name.
His name is Kindly?
No, Sweet.
Third base!
What are you doing?
You do swim, do you not?
Oh, I swim, pretty girl. Pretty good.
It's a bit nipply out. I mean nippy out.
Let's recap.
There is too much. Let me sum up.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.